Hey guys, welcome back to the Glenscope channel. Today we are going to be looking at the press conference that Justin Trudeau used to announce Bill C21. Fairly infamous now. It's been pretty much hated across the board, and we can go over some of the reasons, but the purpose of this video is to actually go over some of the language that has been used and the sort of overall hypocrisy of it. And the reason we want to be looking at the language used is that the language in culture is changing, and the idea that we need to be able to hold our public officials accountable for what they say and what they are intending to do. So for example, if Justin Trudeau says, I intend to keep you safe, and then passes a law that will not affect that at all, we should be calling them out on it. And unfortunately, Justin Trudeau doesn't actually take questions or answer questions that would actually challenge that kind of worldview. So we're kind of, he is living in this bubble, and his party is living in this bubble where they can't be challenged. They can't say, hey, this idea does not make a lot of sense. And while people are writing about it, it's just not happening. So the purpose of this video is to basically show exactly what he's saying, and to have a record of it, and then show what is actually happening. With all that, let's get into the first part of this video. The first thing Justin Trudeau does is that he sits down, he has his mask already on, which is weird because he already had the virus last year, so supposedly he is immune, and there's absolutely no reason why he would need to wear a mask. Because he can't get it, he can't spread it, it's been like 6 months of this time, so he would not be a threat to anyone, so this is theater. This is 100% theater. There's nothing else you can say. That he is just showing the Canadian public that, hey, I also have to wear a mask. Why? There's absolutely no reason to. Justin Trudeau has been getting absolutely hammered in the polls regarding Canada's pathetic vaccine rollout being basically dead last in the developed world. And Justin Trudeau needs a distraction. So his distraction is going to be gun control. And his shot is basically, we are going to protect everyone from death, from guns entirely. So he will protect everyone from dying.
He could actually save people from death.
We'll see how that goes with the first line of the actual gun control argument.
In 2019, firearms were used in 40% of all homicides in Canada. When it comes to keeping Canadians safe from gun violence, we need more than thoughts and prayers. We need concrete action.
Justin Trudeau, you cite 40% of homicides involve firearms. What percentage of that would have been saved with this legislation in Bill C21 being passed?
We've charted a plan of action. We will move forward with the buyback program in the coming months and complete the prohibition to ensure these weapons cannot be legally used, transferred, transported, bequeathed, or sold. Getting these weapons off our streets and out of the hands of criminals means less violence.
These firearms can already not be any of those things that you just said, Justin. So they can't be illegally transferred, they can't be illegally transported and all that stuff. So what you're saying is, you're going to ban them. No, we haven't got to the part in this legislation, in this video, where he says that it will be a optional buyback, but, all those details were released 5 days ago. It is an optional buyback, and so anyone who has these firearms now will be able to keep them if they so choose. And the biggest issue is that the government doesn't know where a vast majority of these firearms are, because a lot of them are non-restricted, meaning they are not registered. I mean, they have serials and all that stuff, but again, the government doesn't know which ones have them, other than the fact that they know there are licenses out there for them in terms of the actual license holder, but they don't know which firearms they own. They would only know the restricted firearms. So what exactly is this legislation proposing? Well, it's proposing that they are going to ban these firearms, and by banning them, it means that they're going to allow everyone to keep them. So if the issue is a legal use, then why would anyone comply with any of this if they are intending a legal use of any of these firearms? I mean, I can't for the life of me think of a good reason why a person intending a legal use would ever give a second thought to any of this.
As part of today's new legislation, we will also support municipalities to ban handguns through bylaws restricting their possession, storage, and transportation. We're backing up the cities with serious federal and criminal penalties to enforce these bylaws, including jail time.
Trudeau, handguns are already banned for most Canadians. The only people that have handguns are people that the RCMP licensed, that they did background checks on. So you actually know like every address that owns a handgun. So if you're not on that list and you have a handgun, you own a banned firearm. So what is banning handguns going to do for the cities? Because the ones that are doing the shooting are not the ones that you know the address to that owner, right? That owner's not going around shooting at people, right? Because if they were, you'd be saying it. The issue is the people you don't know. And those people are already banned from owning those firearms, and yet they still have them. So what in this legislation, in Bill C21, are you proposing will resolve this issue? Because it sounds like you're banning something which has already been effectively banned.
Again, these are the strongest measures to fight gun violence our country has ever seen.
Justin Trudeau, how are you claiming that this is the strongest legislation ever put forward when it's basically overlapping all the current laws that you already have? How will this be any different than the current laws we have on the books?
Minister Blair has worked tirelessly for years on this issue, not only in government, but as police chief of our biggest city.
So the same Bill Blair back in 2012, where he was skeptical about banning handguns in Toronto because it wouldn't really have much effect. Most handguns, as he had cited, are smuggled, even back in 2012, and that number has actually only gone up. It's actually a much higher percentage of legal guns are smuggled now than they were back in 2012.
This new legislation will make a real difference when it comes to keeping Canadians safe. We all know we'll be hearing from the well-funded gun lobby, and we all know there will be plenty of politics.
And then Justin Trudeau goes on to dunk on the gun lobby, saying that it's well-funded. Well, the gun lobby is just the 2.2 plus million Canadians enjoying hunting and sport shooting. That's it. And they don't like being the scapegoats for your problems, Justin. We're not causing the safety issues, and we're not causing the vaccines not to be delivered because of your terrible deals and your arrogant attitude. This legislation is malicious in nature, and we haven't even gotten to all of it yet. We will get to that in future parts of the videos. But this is malicious legislation, and the only people that are opposing it are people like me, just small random people that enjoy hunting and sport shooting. That's it. So why are you trying to make average Canadians scapegoats and claiming it will make anyone safer? Because it won't. You will be the exact same safe level will not increase or decrease because of this legislation. It will just cost everyone else more money. By the way, how is that budget going? We haven't seen one in 2 years.
But let's not forget what this is about: saving lives. We're not targeting law-abiding citizens who own guns to go hunting or for sport shooting.
The only thing Justin Trudeau is targeting with his legislation is legal, law-abiding Canadians who own firearms, who have told the RCMP that, yes, please background check me every single day, here's my address, and all that kind of good stuff. And then 2 days later announce or eliminate the mandatory minimums for hardcore gun crime. Here's a list. Like, they actually had the gall to actually release this. 2 days later and again claim this is for everyone's safety. Well, if you do hardcore gun crime, who is this Bill C21 actually targeting? Again, we haven't even got to the good stuff. And just give you a little sneak peek, they are coming for your airsoft and paintball guns. I'm not kidding. That's actually a thing. You know, they think plastic BBs are a much higher threat than people actually having, actually doing weapons trafficking, for example, because you will be under the mandatory minimum and they will not be. How about that? All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll keep this short. There will be upcoming parts for Bill Blair and Krista Freeland, as well as a Q&A at the end. So stay tuned for all those parts. I might combine 1 or 2 of those, so we'll see how it goes. And leave your comments in the description below. It's not the end of the world. I kind of expect Trudeau to call an election and then this legislation will die. It's basically just a giant red herring saying look how stupid legislation that we can attempt to pass, just so you guys don't pay attention to our terrible vaccine deals and Canada being the worst performer, GDP and employment, or the ineffective nature of masks or anything like that. This is basically, at the end of the day, a red herring, but we still want to go through this and just sort of see what exactly they're saying and what they're not saying. So thanks, guys. Thank you all for watching, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.